much, and for that very kind introduction. Thank you, Luciana. I enjoyed your presentation tremendously. Just a little correction. Okay, I am originally based in Alexandria University in Egypt, and my master's degree and a good part of my professional career was in the American University in Cairo. Now I am freelancing in TESOL training and English for speakers of other languages, teaching. So still I'm working with student teachers at the Faculty of Education. It was very interesting to receive Faisal's invitation. I've been looking forward really to this presentation. I'm glad we managed to fix it. Um, Today, I would like us to talk about ePortfolios. So allow me to share the slides first of all. So we are all on the same page. So that would be number one. As our moderators have said, we can collect questions, put them in the Q&A box. Okay, I will be looking at it, okay, at different points. I would appreciate it if you just make sure if you have some comments to put them in the chat box and the questions in the Q&A, so Luciana and myself, would be able to handle that at the end. Again, I'll be sharing a number of links. So if you wish, okay, keep an eye in the chat box again, copy and paste. And for those who have access to their computers, you can try hands-on bits and pieces if we can have the time for that, because I promised Faisal an interactive rather than a one-way kind of talk. All right. So today I have the pleasure to talk about ePortfolios. Now, we've come across the term and it's been around for quite a number of decades. I would say like they started talking about it as an assessment tool sometime in the 90s, okay, but it just came forward to the forefront sometime early 2000s. And there are figures, especially related to that field, Dr. Helen Barrett, a distinguished professor in the field who's done a lot of research on that with particular reference to ePortfolios and how they've developed along the way with the advent of social media and with the advent of Web 2.0 tools. So she's done that kind of research and how you could relate portfolios to assessment, and not just assessment of our learners, which is a big deal, but teachers as well. Think of yourselves as teachers. We go through appraisals, annual appraisals. We go to jobs, and from one job to the other, we need a compilation of our best works or maybe more. So the point is now with remote learning, now this has come to the forefront strongly and has challenged us all. Now people started talking about, well, I think this is time to use ePortfolios. Exams are very hard to conduct, okay, otherwise. So not online. We need to keep an eye on ePortfolios. And then these struggles, okay, just came forward and then, okay, our students cannot be assessed. So it's that debate. Can we use them for assessment or not? If so, how? All right, we're going to touch upon some of these and a lot more today. Now, just to be familiar with the whole idea here, what are, okay, e-portfolios in the first place? What do we include in them in the first place? I thought before anything, okay, we could just collect some of your interesting ideas here about, okay, what could they be? So there we go. Excuse me for that. I'll share a link now. And this link would be a voting link we're going to conduct a quick poll here. And now I will be looking at your answers. So back again to you in the chat box. Just a second. I'm not okay, the best person to work with that tool. Remember that, Faisal, I said that I prefer other platforms, but trust me, now I'll try to do a good job. Now, please, if you're participating with us today, please go to this link. It's a menti.com link, and I'd like you to select, okay, whichever you believe ePortfolios are all about, okay? So, and I'm going from my end here, try to see if you got any idea here, what this is all about. So now this is my question, and I just would like to receive some of your answers about, okay. So give me some feedback, yes. Give me some feedback, dear Faisal, if it's working from your end. Are you able to access that? Okay, I think we
Hannah,
need to.
could you I mean, paste it in question and answer?
Okay, I'll do
Because
that.
that box is between us, only between us.
All right, so
Yeah.
allow me to do that again. Okay, I'll do that
If,
again.
see if it works.
It should, it should. So now, okay, allow me to do that again in the
Okay.
Q&A.
Yeah,
So,
and then you can publish it.
yes, so once again, okay, I'll just paste it again, and it should be published now. Can you see it? Is it there?
Not yet. We are trying to figure out.
Okay. I can show it from my end if it doesn't work, so we don't take too much time over it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. No problem. Okay. I think I'll have to pass on this one. Okay. So if I just go here, and I'm not sharing my screen with you, am I? Oh, yeah, it's working. It's working. Yeah, I'm glad. So if so I'll just stop and reshare to ensure I'm sharing the results here. Am I? Can you see the results now? Should be coming up. What I got here is the following. All right, so looks like we're trying to view. Yeah. Yes. Can you see the results now?
Yeah, we got it. Yes.
Yeah. So here we have got different reasons. Now, some people would think All right, it's it acts like a showcase of best works and final products at the same time. All right, it's best and final. Some people would think it includes a chronological record of development, means every bit and piece of your work. All right, so even a draft, even brainstorms are involved. If you just think of it, some people may think that they're better suited for assessment for learning, what they call formative assessment. All right, formative assessment, and not the definitive final one. Sometimes people would consider that for final assessment purposes of their students as well. So not just feedback and development of learning and so on. Now here we can use it for giving grades, final grades, pass and fail decisions. And some people would consider that as best, okay, that they best highlight the process of learning and development. These could be among other reasons why, okay, we may consider these, okay, and other reasons, okay, for using ePortfolios. Now, let's go back to our slides here so we have a better idea what we're looking at. So now that we've looked at it, let's just have a look at again. And now, are the slides back or not yet? So again, share content, and now the slides. Now, apparently here, we have the definition of ePortfolios versus, the regular or paper-based portfolios. Apparently, it's been tested over time, okay, and teachers do trust it, especially those working in project-based learning, those working in essay writing kind of courses, all right. This is a good record, okay, for teachers to look at individuals, all right, and their development throughout, all right. If you're taking it from that perspective, teacher-student perspective. With ePortfolios, there seems to be more to it than that. Here we use a bunch of apps, all right, web-based apps, different file formats, and we combine them together here. And then, okay, here we can have them in one place, all right? The idea is how can we put them all together in one place, especially with the change of technology. Technology is transient. Some things fade out. I created a full-fledged portfolio back in time, and it was down, okay? All of a sudden, it said, okay, no longer is your institution a member, and now I lost it all. And I had to recreate my work and recompile it. All right, that really was nasty. So the point is, how can we ensure that we got it all in one place and easily retrievable even by the test of time? Now here, these are the ideas. Make sure you have backups, binders, web pages, galleries, somewhere on the cloud. You may have them, okay, on your hard disk somewhere, but as a matter of fact, keeping them on the cloud is a good kind of, I would say, measure to ensure they're not gone forever, especially those reliable, long-lasting websites. And there are actually those. Just make sure you are aware which is which. Now, what do we use these for? Okay, the idea of ePortfolios, the purpose is very important. Before you start creating, you need to ask yourself, what's the goal of this ePortfolio? All right, whether you are a student, you create these goals and negotiate them with your learners so they're clear, or if you are a professional teacher, all right, or any other profession related, now think, why is it that I'm creating this kind of ePortfolio? Once the goal is clear, now it's going to be easier to put down, okay, a list, and then you start working around it. So there is a user/student, okay? Now they start from the very beginning by organizing and thinking, all right? So organizing and thinking, reflecting back, all right? Reflecting, okay, short term and long term. And then, okay, with what we got nowadays is social media. We create learning or personal learning networks, all right? We have PLNs, communities of learning, and that is the most important bit now. We connect, all right? If you've heard of LinkedIn, if you've heard of similar, websites useful for job purposes, if you're applying for jobs, now that's the main benefit here, is the connections you make with professionals all around the world, okay? If you're doing it for your students, you are training them for the future, the 21st century skills bit, all right? So it's about organization, reflection, connections, and then you start the creation part, okay, where you start using the available tools, putting things in perspective using the various tools. Make sure you have an archive where you retrieve from, okay, whatever. My best archive at the moment, I got two: Google Drive with different accounts depending where I work, and something I used before Drive, which is Dropbox. Some people use other repositories and document organization kind of tools. I prefer those, most practical for me. Uh, Now the idea of going public is very important. You keep it till you are almost happy with it. It's never gonna be final. With ePortfolios, it's an ongoing process. So once you got that and you're happy with it, you publish it. Very important to find a host that is free. Fine, it's there, it's available. Once you publish that, uh, you receive feedback, all right? That's the beauty of ePortfolios. They actually have, space for comments and connect or contact me, or whoever is the creator of the portfolio can receive, comments, queries from various people around the world, okay, whatever the community is. So you receive feedback that would help you better improve the way you sort of present yourself. And for our learners, we are that audience that should really provide, okay, feedback, how to do a better job of showing themselves to the community, whatever the community is. And it's an editing process, an ongoing editing process, and you go on and on and on. Up next here, so then what here, once we got that, now we need to think about that. Now, ePortfolios happen to have two faces, okay? They're not necessarily focused around, like a resume, a chronological list of, okay, what you've done, okay, throughout your life, professional life. It's not necessarily so. Chronological is one part of it, all right? Some people go thematic, all right? So whether you decide to use, the dates, the years, okay, you go chronological, so first, second, third, okay? And this is kind of like, a process, okay, of what is it that you've done, all right? Now, there is a product part, all right, as well. Now, we can do that, all right, and we can think about it. I'm not doing it by order of time. I'm doing it with themes, okay? So themes means, all right, areas, okay? Like, for example, I've done consultancies. I'll gather up all consultancies together, all right? Maybe I've done some, I would say, internships. I would put all internships together. Now, by analogy, you can extend that to learners and their world. You help them create themes, okay, by creating that order. The beauty of ePortfolios, as Dr. Barrett has mentioned, is you can combine both in an ePortfolio. You don't necessarily have to work either or, either a process or a product kind of fashion. Now you can have both, all right, together. So how so? As you can see, this is a diagram that she's come up with. And you can see the relationships, all right? You start, okay, with a purpose, okay, and you keep reflecting. For learners, you can ask them to collaborate together, come up with a workspace, all right, and they track their own process along the way, starting from the first brainstorming session, first drafts, and then the final, okay, product, and you provide them with feedback for development. And that's the assessment for learning bit, right? But it goes on, and you can see the interaction part where it goes back and forth. The final product is not necessarily final. You can just give it back to the learner and they can do a better job. And again, it becomes a product for you to look at, okay? So this is the track if you are wishing for the process. How about the product track? Now, if you're doing a product, okay, now here I'm looking for best works. It's a showcase, like you're exhibiting yourself. And on an exhibition, you don't necessarily put down each and every scratch, you put on paper. No, you just give your best or put your best versions in a portfolio. And that's it for you. You just skip the rest, okay? And you necessarily put it in some sort of like organized fashion, best works fashion, all right? And here is the thematic organization bit. Now this one here it begs evaluation rather than feedback, although you can provide feedback, but it's about the final, the summative stage of assessment, right? And of course, okay, you can ask your learners to write reflective notes on that or the rationale behind their portfolio. You ask them to write descriptions of that. And that's the beauty of it. And it keeps improving by time, you see, to describe your best works. You don't just throw in randomly a couple of items you have and voila, here you are, dear teacher, you do this. You look at it and, okay, tell us what you think. No, here is, I'm doing active reflection on my feet, okay? I put down a piece of my work, claim it's the best, and justify the rationale why I see it the best, all right? It's all a process of collection of artifacts, as it says here. Both the documentation of learning and achievement part could be combined together. Now, I'd like us to work together now on tools. And let's see how we can do that. You can easily do it with me now if you have access. My portfolio, the latest one, I told you about the first one that was gone because of a subscription that was gone by my institution. So I had to really think of free tools. Mind you, I prefer freebies a lot, okay? I looked up, and that was like 3-4 years ago, Weebly, all right? Weebly was there and was quite user-friendly at the time. So I just, tried it out to come up with, my first, portfolio away from subscriptions and so on. And it worked for me, all right? When I looked up, the latest for this presentation, for the purpose of this one, the latest available online, I found even better affordances. I found something called Wixsite, and I totally recommend that one. So if you wish, you can go to this one right now and look at it. You can simply sign up using your Gmail account and start creating using a template, a ready-made template. Do not add much except maybe your name, and go through the steps, create, okay, and you may even publish if you wish. And later you can start adding bit by bit your artifacts, your picture, your background, your achievements, your writings, etc., etc., etc. All right. I haven't used folio spaces yet. Looks promising, but I haven't really tried it all yet. PB Works is one of my most favorite. Why? Because it's so flexible and user-friendly. Just to be specific, PB Works is excellent for students because, again, it's meant for educational purposes, and it gives you space to create student accounts in case you're teaching, younger learners, those who do not qualify for autonomous emails because they're underage. So PB Works helps you do that. And PB Works, is one of those what we used to call Web 2.0 tools at that time, where you can co-create content. All right, you're not just a viewer, a passive user or viewer of the web. You are an active user of the web. You can create your own content, not just alone in collaboration here with your group members, collaborators, etc. It is a wiki in its own right, but it's tweakable. It can work in different ways. Of course, there are other tools like blogs, etc. But if you wish for an easy tool, I would recommend the top tools, Weebly, Wix, site. Okay. Now, what we're going to include is very important, and we said we sit down, reflect, and make a list here of goals. And if you are a teacher creating your own portfolio to model, now you need to think of your own profile, a summary, okay, of the achievements you've made. You need to consider your showcase of best works, okay, distinguished kind of products, I would say, and of course your qualifications, very much like your resume, okay, more or less. However, this is going to be multimodal. It's not just text or a dull text. It's going to be like, video, audio, photos, text, a mix of all these. Now, just so we know, okay, to actually be ready to create our portfolios, it's a mix of what we call hyperlinks. A hyperlink looks like that at the bottom left, all right? This is a hyperlink, all right? Now, embeds, it's at the bottom right, all right? What are embeds? It's a code that we needn't worry much about, but it's an offering here. If you are working with something, for example, like PB Works or Weebly, you can go to that developer mode, all right, and make sure that you create an object, whatever the object is. You get it, all right, and developer mode means you're a programmer, okay, but it's a very easy job. You just insert it in your portfolio, so you don't really have to go out of the page. Inside the page, there is a miniature of the object you've created somewhere else. So I can show you that, and you can always look at it. All right, I got the links there. So this one here is going to take me out to my Facebook page, which is interestingly a mini portfolio for me. So those who actually are connected with me on Facebook can easily link to my actual portfolio, the full-fledged professional one. So Facebook, for my purposes, I've decided to turn it into a semi-professional tool that would help those who need to know more about me and they can easily link through there. Okay. What about those icons at the very top right? A mix of, as I told you, repositories. I use WhatsApp. I create a group for whatever project I have, and compile, throw in randomly any findings I have. So that would be my draft repository, a big box, like, just put everything you got inside, put it away, and then sort things out later. My repositories where I keep things intact are Dropbox and Drive. There could be LinkedIn, of course, where I put, okay, a more professional image of my work. And I told you again, Facebook, okay, can be functional in a semi-professional manner. We're about to close here that and try things out later, after I finish this little bit, which is now the process here starts by you compiling, as we've just said, and sorting out things, classifying things. It's very important that we do that bit of classification. Now, the compilation part requires you to copy and paste stuff, archive, document, download stuff, share stuff, save stuff. The sorting is very important in the sense you select, reject, edit, and add. Okay, these are higher order thinking, higher level thinking. Okay, what to include? It's not like anything goes. You need to have, a system, what to include and not to include. Now, here were some good examples that I used, for my own reference, helped me jumpstart on ePortfolios. Of course, my mentor is Dr. Nelly Deutsch. Back in time, when I had little access to any freebies, she offered me a space on a website called Mahara for creating ePortfolios. She was so generous with that. Now, the other one, which is free to all, is Google Sites. Although up till this moment, I hate it. I don't really like it. It's not a very user-friendly tool, but it's doable. I mean, to me, it's a little bit, too much work. I prefer PB Works. This is for wiki kind of work. But this one, interestingly, is the link to Dr. Helen Barrett's, ePortfolios website. It's an amazing website. She used Google Sites for, as a technological tool. And she added everything that relates to her research on ePortfolios. I totally recommend that. Mine, I used something user-friendly, which is Weebly at the time. And the point is, after you go through samples and you're happy and you have a good idea, you start drafting your own like I did, and ensure that you keep track of your links and your embeds and your best works and stuff. Make notes and just a skeleton, just a rough skeleton of what is it that you would like to show. That's what I came up with on Weebly. As you can see here, the URL, the address above, my first last name .weebly.com, right? So very easy. And I've created a website, and that's the idea here. So easy to create your own website if you wish. And that's what's going to be your ePortfolio. And hopefully, if you wish to do the same thing, for learners, train them on that. By the way, learners are better, a lot better with technology than we are, you see. So if they work on it, they're going to amaze you with the products. Here is a collection of pictures, text. Here is an audio and hyperlinks to where I used to work and so on and so forth. Again, these are links to publications, to where I work, and anything that matters most to me. Now, the idea of editing, once you gain access to a place, a spot, you have editing privileges. Of course, I go for the free plan, okay, free plan. And you can always upgrade, but you know, teachers don't have that much to upgrade. Normally, they stick to the freebies like me. And here is the best part where you know who has visited you along the way, how many, and so on and so forth. This is beautiful indeed. What else? So what? What does that matter? Now, the following step is now the use of this for us and learners, as a matter of fact. It's a good reflection on one, the process, whatever it is, process of learning, process of development, professional development, process of producing some project that you would like to be proud of you know, in the future. So we're taking the left part of Dr. Helen Barrett's, you know, I would say model, which is focused on learning and documentation of the steps you take along the way. All right. Next, the other part is it's a product oriented process again, or product oriented kind of vision here. You can easily reflect on your final products. All right. And this is the right hand side. Okay. Where I would like to present the best, okay, of the best of my works. So it's a showcase, and it's okay. It's easier for evaluators to sort of like give you, I would say, a final evaluation of how well you are. Okay, is that you know, satisfactory? Is that like intermediate? Is that like outstanding, or what? And that is why we need to have assessment criteria. If we got that, whether we're teachers assessing our learners or we are employers appraising employees or job interviewees, we need to have some criteria for you know, accountability and objectivity. Here is where rubrics come in. There are dozens and dozens of assessment rubrics. And here is an example where it's a 4-level rubric: exemplary, top, proficient, which is a little bit less, partially proficient, totally incomplete. And this is an analytic rubric. This could be well used for project work, all right, for your learners. Look at the categories or criteria. Selection, how well the process of selection, okay, is. Multimedia, is it just limited text-based or is it multimodal? Are there enough descriptions and reflections of learners on bits and pieces of that portfolio of theirs? Is there creativity? Is there ease of navigation, or is it like you get lost because it looks like a website? You got to make sure it's easily navigatable. Next, this is time for any questions you may have, okay? And I'll try my best to answer those when it's time to answer questions. It's your turn to do that, but before anything, just make sure you take a snapshot of some of my references freely available online. These actually help me just jumpstart, okay, on creating, you know, 2 things: creating this presentation for one thing, and enhancing my proficiency. Thank you very much, and hope to listen from you.
Well, thank you very much, Miss Hannah, for your interesting topic. We really enjoyed it, and I think the topic that you chose was very relative, especially you know, in this period, and I think many teachers can benefit from it. So once again, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, Dr. Luciana and Miss Hannah, for your wonderful presentation. So this is the time for question and answers. You know, so we will start with Miss Luciana. The questions have been sent already, so she can see the questions. So if you have any question, you can type it so that Ms. Luciana can see it and answer the questions.
So thank you very much. I only saw one question in the Q&A box. So this question, I thank you very much for the question, is from Lessing. I don't know how to pronounce the name, Lessing Coley, and it's asked, what is the practical way to implement narratives in the teaching in teaching the language skills? I consider if you are teaching language skills, you can use narratives in specific ways, like when you are teaching, for example, writing, and you want to focus on this specific skill, you can ask the students to write the narratives about how they are how they are learning to write in English. They can say strategies they are using and how they get motivated to write. And the same thing with the other skills, like reading. They can say what they read, how they are reading, how they are learning to read, what strategies they apply from the mother languages to the foreign languages. There are specific strategies you can use. You can ask for them to write about all the 4 skills or about one specific skills, focusing on the strategies that they are using. I think it's a good way for them to share strategies so that they can learn with each other, and also to get motivated to see that the other friend has the same challenges and the same motivation or using the same strategies. They can get involved talking about a specific skill or about the 4 skills, if you are in a language school or in a regular school. I believe it's possible. I did not see any other question for me.
Okay, we got a question. One of the question is that would you recommend Microsoft Teams for children below 12 years?
But this question for me? Oh, but I can answer. I can answer. Like I believe all platforms can be useful. I'm more used to Google Meet, and this is the one I use in my university. But I believe if the teacher is working with the students, and I don't know Microsoft Teams very much, but I believe it's a good platform, and you can teach your students to use. It's very important when you are with young children, not only teach the kids, but also to teach the parents. Maybe make some tutorials or send them videos to watch so that they can use it better. But I believe it's a good option. But it's not the one that I use, but I believe it's good.
Okay. And we got many questions. Actually, we tried to summarize it. I got 2 questions for Ms. Hannah. How to implement ePortfolio for reading and listening skills?
Very interesting indeed. Okay, just so we are clear, the use of ePortfolios mostly is to document and assess productive or performance-based tasks. Okay, so it's focused on productive skills of speaking and writing, right? Not necessarily receptive skills. All right. Uh, there is no much space for reading and listening. I mean, reading and listening. Why should you document them in a portfolio when you can easily create a quiz or a test, right? Should you throw in a quiz or a test or quiz test results in a portfolio? Maybe, I don't know, but I would just recommend products, okay, and productive skills. That would be my recommendation. Do we have more questions?
All right, thank you very much. We got another question. Some areas, as you know, that the internet is pretty poor. So some teachers are asking whether a platform like Facebook and or WhatsApp can be effective, can be good enough to, replace applications that you mentioned. Is it a good idea to, use those platforms or not? To use it as a portfolio. Yeah.
Is that to Luciana or me?
This is for you, Miss Hannah.
All right. Okay. Let's just break it down a bit. Okay. Platforms like WhatsApp. WhatsApp would not help me create a portfolio. It's just a space where I can create a group, a very small group that I would use for collecting artifacts, my personal artifacts. And you know now that you can create a group with 2 people and kick out 1 person, and you'll be the only member in the group. So it becomes a personal repository, like a drawer in your desk, a drawer where you throw in stuff, and later on you may go back to it and draw important matters or important documents, etc. As for Facebook, I would recommend it, although you may find it a little bit, unacademic, but it works very well, all right, with, bad internet, connectivity. I worked with my learners. Most of the time, they complain about, their connectivity. They cannot Zoom. They cannot use, Teams, for example. So I get through to them through Facebook affordances and sometimes Messenger, all right, if I would like to meet with them. But that's beside the point. If I wish to use my Facebook like my own repository, not repository, I would use it as my own portfolio, all right? I have to have a little bit of restrictions. Facebook is quite open, right? Need to make it a little bit closed. So what I do is I have a Facebook for learners and it's a private group, right? So that's number 1. If I would like to model things, I don't think it's gonna work, all right, as a portfolio per se. It's just sharing links to more private spaces, right? And basically a portfolio, electronic portfolio, needs to be published online. It has to be online. So Weebly and Wixsite are fine because you simply work separately. We don't really have to be there like Teams, for example, all together synchronously at the same time. We can work at our own good time, in the late time, asynchronously, each one or each group, if you wish, creating their own portfolio. You see what I mean? So as long as it's not synchronous, bandwidth issues can be relieved, you see? And there is something else I'd like to add, something that was not there back in time. Mobile phones, smartphones. Smartphones are easier to access platforms nowadays in terms of bandwidth because they minimize their features. You see, a web-based site has too many features, is too heavy when it's bandwidth, okay? If you try the very same website through a cell smartphone, it's easier to access and faster to make shares and edits, you see? Maybe I would recommend, although it's going to be a little dull, but I would recommend Google Meet. No, it's Google Classroom, I'm sorry. Google Meet, that's for conferencing. Google Sites, oh my God, I need some coffee here, I'm sorry. Google Classroom can act as a easy portfolio or electronic portfolio that would not cause problems of bandwidth to our learners. So I hope I answered that.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Hannah. And one question for Dr. Luciana. Dr. Luciana, as you know that online learning is pretty, challenging nowadays, and motivation is one of the biggest problem among students, especially in some areas where students hardly can get a proper, a network. So what do you recommend to teachers to minimize those boring classes? What kind of effective, actually this question is for both of you, since both of you are sophisticated and well-experienced teachers. So what can be done, something realistic, some kind of strategies that we teachers can implement in our classroom to minimize this kind of problems, because many students are complaining because of course they feel so bored, sitting 1 hour and 40 minutes in front of their laptop or sometimes in their phone. So what should be done? What kind of practical strategies can be done to minimize this challenge?
I would say, thank you for the question, and I would say to make it meaningful and to make it not only meaningful but useful for the kids. Not only for the kids but also for the adults. Adults also need to have a meaningful teaching, a meaningful learning. And I would also say to make them participate during the classes, not only to be seated and watching everything and listening to the teacher talking all the time for 2 hours. It's boring even for adults, imagine for the kids. Making it meaningful and making them participate and make it with practical use in the real life situation.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Ms. Hannah, if you have any recommendations.
I totally agree with Luciana, really. Meaningful learning and asking learners what is it they wish to do, what is it they like to do, how do they really, what makes them tick, right? Because we have certain ideas about what makes learners tick. It turns out to be what makes us tick as teachers, not necessarily the students. Okay, we need to get their feedback. Do you like this tool or don't you like this tool? Try to involve them in decision making and co-creating tasks for the course, right? And so many people recommend gamification as much as possible. So with gamification means you find like games, or game-like kind of interactions. For example, the Menti tool I used, okay, not necessarily in the best of ways, but yeah, it gives you, it's a quick polling tool. And on the screen, they can see who likes something, who doesn't like something, and they make decisions together. All right, and they see the results. For one thing, if you'd like to use things like quiz makers, all right, like Kahoot or Quizzes, for example, these are beautiful where you can use what's available there, a quiz, and you can have a leaderboard with students, okay, ranked by, their scores. I ask them to do that even in, classes where I have no access whatsoever. Back in time, we worked in a classroom with no internet connection except 3Gs on cell phones. So what do? I ask them to gather up in groups. One person would open their cell phone, 3G or 4G, and they would do a group quiz and get a score and then post their results. Okay, if they wish to do it, individually, snapshot of their results. And this makes them feel excited about learning. All right, so you can even create your own questions and quizzes. And again, through that, if we're doing remote learning online and you open that, Kahoot and Quizzes do that for you. They help you, see, and they see each other who's competing with whom and who does a better job. So that atmosphere can break the monotony. using multimodal learning. So in a conversation class, for example, I'll try to use videos, self-recorded videos. For example, Flipgrid and Padlet have beautiful, they are beautiful as a matter of fact, and make self-recording so easy and so easy for like sharing and uploading. So those even with problems, internet issues, they can easily do that at their own time, share it, okay, with me as a teacher, share it with their community of learners so easily. Again, I would recommend these two. These are the freebies of our age, and we need to try our best here to keep up. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Hannah. Now, and there is a question to Luciana. How to motivate students who are reluctant to answer the questions during the online classes? So are there any effective ways that you use with your students during giving your online class?
What I would say is that my context of teaching is different because I teach in a university. And in my reality, each course I only usually teach one synchronous class with the whole group. And as I can, because I have few students, I usually have 15, 17 in one class, I schedule meetings with each one of them. And sometimes, most of the times I use Google Meet so that they can share the screen with me. And also, when the student doesn't have a good internet connection, I also use WhatsApp to talk to them. But like, it's my reality. In my reality, I can meet with each student for 30 minutes and ask them questions, and like the student is talking just to me. But what I would suggest for a teacher who needs to teach every day, the whole group together, is to also make the questions meaningful, and also I would like establish and make an agreement with them to say, look, everybody needs to answer one question during the class, and they choose the time when they can answer the question and when the question is interesting for them. This is what I suggest, and to make agreements with them and say that they don't need to answer every single question, and to choose specific questions to each one of the students so that everybody can participate, and to make the questions meaningful. That's what using narratives is going to like helping you to ask this question so that you know your students, and you know their life stories, and you know their interests, and you know what they like. And this would be meaningful for them. Not only meaningful, but also they are going to notice that the teacher cares about them, and that the teacher is not only there just to evaluate or to give them a grade. That's what I would suggest. Of course, it's difficult, it's not easy, and it's hard working. It was hard working in person when we were teaching in person. And now with the online teachers even more, because we are not used to this. And especially in my case, I don't like this. Yes. Thank you very much. Back to you.
Okay, Anna, would you like to say something?
Well, as a matter of fact, it's one of the most enjoyable sessions I've ever had. And I'm really honored to have such an amazing turnout with so witty questions. And of course, it's a lot, it's even more, to be working here and to present next to Luciana. Luciana, thank you very much. I really learned a lot from your session. Hope we collaborate together, especially with Faisal, because he has given that a wonderful chance to both of us. Thank you very much. And of course, you got my contact information. So whoever would like to pass by my Facebook group, or actually Facebook page, or email, we'll be happy to contact you and discuss things further. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Again, from Oman, University of Technology and Applied Sciences, IBRI English Language Center. Thank you again for your patience and following us and attending to this mini, we can say it, seminar. Actually, wonderful seminar. I myself learned many things. Thank you very much to both of you, and hopefully we have some kind of cooperation in days to come, inshallah. Thanks again. And regarding the certificates, Mr. Faisal going to share some comments, and that's it.
Okay, guys, I would like to say again a big thank you for our guest speakers from Egypt and from Brasilia, and we'd like to cooperate in more future events, hopefully. And regarding the certificates and the feedback, actually I could not share it here. I asked the guest speakers if they can share it as moderator. I already sent it, so it could be in the chat box. You can share in the question and answer. Otherwise, so we can email it to everyone. I already have the email, so I can email the recording. I can email the PowerPoint, because I will ask the presenters or guest speakers to provide me with the PowerPoint. So I can easily share them with the participants.
My pleasure.
Okay, Luciana, would like to.
I would like to say that I'm grateful for this opportunity to be here and to share and discuss my research, and also to meet so lovely people like Hannah and also Faisal and Mohsen. I don't know how to pronounce your name correctly, but thank you very much. And to learn a lot from each one of you. And thank you so much also to my family members who are watching, friends and students for being here with us. And thank you organizers and moderators and attendees for the participation that you are from all over the world, and that's amazing. And take care and stay safe, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much and have a nice day. See you, inshallah, in future events. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.